presence in maps based on much older source maps that actually show the world as it looks during the last ice age suggests that somebody during the last ice age was mapping the world and had mastered the technique of calculating longitude.
"5,000 years ago, no one would have imagined that explorers would stumble upon an ancient map in the depths of Egypt. That map, however, reveals a startling truth that challenges conventional wisdom, a detailed coastline of America, suggesting that Christopher Columbus may not have been the first to arrive. Discovered among Egypt's ancient treasures alongside the mystifying Nubia egg, this map hints at the far-reaching influence of the Nagada culture, potentially reaching the Americas long before recorded history. Why has this pivotal aspect of American history been concealed? Join us as investigate the secrets of the map that unveils the truth behind centuries of deception. The Nagada culture's surprising connection to America. This map's origins are traced back to the Nagada culture of ancient Egypt, which flourished from around 4,000 to 3,000 before the Christian era, before the time of the renowned pharaohs. This era was characterized by the emergence of urban centers, the execution of skilled craftsmanship, and the expansion of trade networks that, it now appears, might have extended far beyond previously recognized boundaries. The puzzle, then, is how the people of the Nagada culture could have possibly acquired such detailed geographic information about a region they had never visited. This issue piques curiosity and skepticism alike. Among the relics of this ancient civilization is another intriguing object, the mysterious Nubia egg. Found alongside the map, this artifact suggests that the voyages of the Nagada people might have reached much further than was once thought, possibly even making contact with the Americas well before any known expeditions from the Old World. If true, this would not only redefine our understanding of early global exploration, but also challenge the established timelines of historical interaction. The continual unearthing of such objects prompts a crucial inquiry: what additional inaccuracies exist within our historical records? Each revelation diminishes the confidence we place in our grasp of history, exposing the biases and selective preservation that often characterize historical narratives. While these revelations are undoubtedly exciting, they also necessitate a careful approach to accepting historical records as absolute fact. History is shaped as much by the individuals who document it as by the events themselves. The recent findings foster a healthy skepticism towards accepting history without question, reminding us that today's perfect fit may be tomorrow's misalignment. As historians scrutinize these new findings, prepared to amend or even overturn what is currently accepted, the rest of us observe with a blend of doubt and fascination, wondering which aspects of our historical understanding may need re-evaluation next. Beyond the immediate fascination with the map and the egg, these discoveries remind us of the fluid nature of historical knowledge. The artifacts from the Nagada culture provide invaluable insights into the societal structures, religious practices, and political dynamics of early Egyptian civilization. However, the Nubia egg, uncovered in 1907 by British archaeologist Malab Cecil Bath and now housed in the Museum of Nubia, is especially significant. This object, crafted from an ostrich eggshell and estimated to be around 7,000 years old, is adorned with complex patterns that some scholars suggest are not merely decorative, but rather symbolic representations of substantial geographical and cosmic knowledge. The pyramids of Giza stand as a monumental testament to the architectural skill and cultural depth of ancient Egyptian society. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, which was once the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years, originally stood at 481 feet, but has since been reduced to 455 feet due to the erosion of its outer casing stones. Covering an area of about 13 acres, its once polished limestone casing stones shone brilliantly in the sunlight, making the pyramid visible from miles away. Inside, the complex system of passageways and chambers, including the Grand King's Chamber with its red granite sarcophagus, showcases the advanced engineering capabilities of its creators. Confronting these architectural and artistic marvels, one cannot help but be struck by a sense of doubt toward the simplistic historical narratives we have long accepted. As we learn more about the Nagada culture and their seemingly impossible geographic knowledge of distant lands, we are forced to acknowledge that our historical narrative may be significantly incomplete. These discoveries not only illuminate the gaps in our knowledge, but also underscore the necessity for ongoing re-evaluation of what we consider historical fact, urging us to examine, with a critical perspective, the reliability of what has been passed down through generations. Follow us to discover more about the Pyramid of Khafre and its hidden wonders. The spiritual legacy of Khafre's monumental complex. The Pyramid of Khafre, which is slightly shorter than the Great Pyramid of Giza, continues to captivate the imagination because of its massive size and retains some of its original polished casing stones at the peak. These remnants provide a rare glimpse into the past, showing us how these monumental structures might have shimmered under the ancient sun. Located in a vast complex, this pyramid is closely connected with the Great Sphinx, a gigantic statue with the body of a lion and a human head, commonly believed to depict Pharaoh Khafre himself. This link is not only artistic, but also highlights the profound religious and cultural importance of these structures, which were designed not only as final resting places, but also as everlasting monuments that declared the divine authority of the pharaohs. The Great Pyramid of Khafre, standing nearly 448 feet tall, holds a commanding presence on the Giza Plateau near Cairo. This significant structure is part of an expansive complex that includes various smaller pyramids, temples, and notably, the Great Sphinx. The Sphinx, with its lion's body and what is believed to be the likeness of Pharaoh Khafre's face, is positioned to the east of the pyramid, overseeing the extensive mortuary temple area. The relationship between the Sphinx and the pyramid goes beyond mere proximity. It is deeply symbolic, emphasizing the religious and cultural significance these structures held. They were intended not just as burial sites, but as lasting tributes to the pharaoh's supposed divine rule and eternal spirit. Pharaoh Khafre, formerly known as Khafre-Enej, Heru-Neb, governed during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, around the year 2570 before Christian era. His rule likely spanned about 26 years and was notable for major architectural undertakings, notably the construction of his pyramid and the development of his complex at Giza. Khafre's pyramid was originally covered with a smooth layer of polished Tura limestone, giving it a dazzling appearance in the Egyptian sun. Although most of this casing has been removed over the millennia, the remaining pieces at the peak give us a hint of its previous magnificence. The architectural and construction techniques used to build Khafre's pyramid were groundbreaking for the time. Constructed on a square base covering approximately 11 acres, the pyramid's sides rise at a 53-degree angle, converging at the top to form the iconic pyramid shape. This construction method, which involved the precise cutting and placement of thousands of limestone blocks, some weighing as much as several tons, demonstrated the ancient Egyptians' advanced knowledge of geometry and their ability to organize and direct large groups of workers. Internally, a descending passageway leads to the burial chamber, which is carved directly into the bedrock beneath the pyramid's base. This chamber, designed to be the final resting place of Pharaoh Khafre, was sealed with a series of granite blocks after the burial to protect it from looters. Despite these measures, like many tombs of ancient Egypt, it was eventually raided, and today it stands empty. Khafre's pyramid's alignment with celestial bodies further emphasizes the Egyptians' advanced astronomical understanding. The pyramid is oriented on a north-south axis, believed to reflect their knowledge of astronomy and religious beliefs. The north was seen as the direction of the imperishable stars, a celestial area associated with eternity. Beyond serving as a tomb, the pyramid complex also functioned as a center for the pharaoh's cult after his death. Priests performed daily rituals there, providing prayers and food offerings to sustain Khafre's spirit in the afterlife. These practices continued for centuries, highlighting the lasting impact of the pharaohs and the ongoing spiritual significance of the pyramid complex. Menkare's pyramid, though the smallest of the trio at Giza, stands as a proud monument to Egyptian architectural finesse. It may not boast the size or the intricate internal structures of its larger neighbors, but it holds its ground as a crucial piece of historical architecture. Constructed with the same intent as the others, to serve both as a tomb and a lasting tribute to the pharaoh's earthly reign and hoped-for celestial journey, the pyramid illustrates the deep spiritual and ritualistic fabric of Egyptian society. The architectural methods employed in erecting these stone giants continue to be a hot topic among historians and archaeologists. How did the ancient builders manage to transport and assemble such enormous blocks without the aid of modern technology? Various theories float around, one suggesting the use of a long, straight ramp that grew alongside the pyramid, while another proposes a zigzagging path winding around the structure to facilitate material transport as the construction reached skyward. Each block was positioned with exceptional precision, demanding meticulous planning and vast labor forces, showcasing the organizational acumen of the Egyptians. Moreover, these pyramids align with certain celestial bodies, indicating that the Egyptians possessed an advanced understanding of astronomy. They were constructed not only as triumphs of engineering, but also as instruments of astronomical precision, aligned with the specific stars and solstices that bore significant spiritual meanings. The enduring legacy of the pyramids of Giza lies not just in their grandeur and historical significance, but also in their impact on subsequent architectural endeavors and their place in the cultural narratives of later civilizations. They are continually revered for their aesthetic and structural precision and the enigmatic insights they offer into a civilization capable of such monumental achievements millennia ago. These structures remind us of the Egyptians' capacity to blend architectural innovation with spiritual aspirations, crafting edifices that reach towards the heavens while securing a timeless presence on the earth. Yet, not everyone is convinced by the romantic interpretations of these findings. Some critics argue that the romanticized explanations of pyramid alignments and purposes may be the result of an overzealous desire to fit fascinating tales into archaeological discoveries. They suggest that what some see as detailed maps or precise scientific representations might actually be the result of modern imaginations imposing narratives on simple etchings. These critics propose that such symbols might have served artistic or ritual purposes rather than being literal guides or scientific diagrams. This critique does not diminish the intrigue surrounding the Nubia egg, but rather places it at the center of a broader discussion about our interpretations of ancient artifacts. Is it possible that our eagerness to decode the past leads us to attribute complex meanings to objects that were intended purely for aesthetic or ceremonial use? Could it be that the egg, rather than containing hidden geographical or astronomical codes, was simply an object of beauty or spiritual significance? Despite these debates, artifacts like the Nubia egg, unearthed in Lower Egypt, continue to challenge and enrich our understanding of history. Believed to be about 7,000 years old, the egg presents a puzzling time discrepancy compared to the Great Pyramids, which date back only about 4,600 years. This significant age gap raises questions. How could the egg feature designs that resemble pyramids if it predates their construction by over 2 millennia? Could the iconic pyramids be older than current estimates suggest? Some experts scoff at the notion, suggesting that the triangular shapes on the egg might simply depict mountains and not pyramids. However, the symmetrical precision and clear horizontal lines etched into these shapes make a compelling case against this simplistic interpretation. These details imply that the artist aimed to depict something structured and possibly man-made, suggesting an ancient familiarity with pyramid-like forms long before they officially appear in the historical record. This ongoing dialogue between the past and present keeps the study of history dynamic and contentious, mixing awe with a necessary dose of skepticism as we attempt to discern fact from creative interpretation in the legacy our ancestors left behind. Get ready to dive into the debates and question about how old Egypt's ancient buildings really are. Rethinking the age of Egyptian monuments, there is a broader issue with how we date ancient objects and constructions. The standard method, carbon-14 dating, is not very effective for dating stone structures like the pyramids. This method is more suitable for organic materials, meaning it could provide incorrect ages for stone structures. Additionally, the hieroglyphs on the pyramids might not have been original. They could have been added later, perhaps during a period when the pyramids were being reused or adapted by the Egyptians. This leads to doubts about the traditional dating methods for the Giza pyramids. Such doubts are not merely theoretical, they challenge the entire timeline we accept for ancient Egyptian civilization. If the skeptics are correct, and the pyramids are indeed older than current estimates, we would need to completely rethink our understanding of ancient Egyptian history. Moreover, there's a noticeable reluctance among some historians and archaeologists to question established timelines, which can seem like an unwillingness to confront the complexities and uncertainties inherent in dating ancient artifacts. This raises a crucial question. Are we more devoted to maintaining established narratives than to uncovering the actual truths of the past? The Nubia egg, with its mysterious design and challenging dating, serves as a stark reminder of our limitations in fully understanding ancient history. It's a piece that just doesn't fit right, suggesting either our current historical picture is incomplete or we're assembling it incorrectly. These ongoing debates and the introduction of conflicting evidence, like the Nubia egg, keep the field of historical and archaeological research vibrant and challenging. As new discoveries are made and old theories are tested, the history of ancient Egypt remains an active, evolving story. This continuous flow of new information and reinterpretation helps remind us that history is not a fixed narrative, but a dynamic conversation between the past and our interpretation of it. The Nubia egg, therefore, not only challenges our current understanding, but also invigorates the quest for knowledge about our distant past. The story surrounding the Giza pyramids often sounds more like a plot from a detective novel than a straightforward history lesson. Central to this drama is Colonel Howard Weiss, whose actions have stirred up quite a bit of controversy. Weiss claimed that he discovered markings inside the Great Pyramid's hidden chambers, and among these markings, supposedly, was the name of Pharaoh Khufu. This discovery was quickly used to determine the age of the pyramid. However, there's a twist in the tale. Some historians suspect Weiss might have been more focused on securing his own fame than contributing to Egyptology. They suggest that Weiss could have actually created these markings himself. If true, this act would mean he wasn't just trying to make a name for himself, but also potentially misleading generations of Egyptologists about one of the world's greatest monuments. This raises significant doubts about his character and intentions. The debate over the age of the pyramids and the Sphinx at Giza includes some intriguing arguments that suggest these structures could be much older than traditionally believed. Advocates of this viewpoint cite the alignment of the pyramids with celestial bodies and significant weathering patterns on the stone as indicators that they may date back to around 8,000 years ago, rather than the commonly accepted 4,500 years. One aspect of the debate focuses on the weathering patterns observed on the Sphinx and its enclosure. Some researchers argue that the types of erosion and weathering could only have been caused by long periods of rainfall, which they believe happened well before the traditional dating of these structures. This theory is bolstered by geological studies that suggest a much wetter climate in the region thousands of years before the current estimates for the construction of the Sphinx and the pyramids. Additionally, the precise alignment of the pyramids with celestial bodies is often pointed out as evidence of advanced knowledge and technology that could predate known ancient Egyptian civilization. The complexity and accuracy of these alignments imply a deep understanding of astronomical events, which some argue could only have been possible with pre-existing advanced civilizations. However, mainstream Egyptologists and archaeologists typically counter these theories by highlighting the lack of direct evidence, such as inscriptions or other datable materials that conclusively support an earlier construction date. They also mention that the weathering could be attributed to other natural processes over the millennia. These researchers also assert that the ancient Egyptians had access to advanced building techniques and tools far earlier than most history books suggest. This challenges the conventional timeline and suggests that the Egyptian civilization was capable of architectural feats that we are only beginning to appreciate. As evidence mounts from both camps, it pushes us to reconsider not only when these iconic structures were built, but also the technological capabilities of those who built them. If the theories proposing an earlier date are correct, they would drastically alter our understanding of human history, showcasing a civilization that was far more advanced than we originally believed. Come along as we investigate Dr. Robert Schoch's revolutionary ideas about the ancient age of the Great Sphinx. Dr. Robert Schoch's radical theories on the Sphinx. Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist and professor at Boston University, has initiated significant discussions with his theories about the Great Sphinx's age, suggesting it is much older than previously thought. This hypothesis arises from observing unusual erosion patterns on the Sphinx, distinct from the typical wear caused by wind and sand, the usual environmental forces at play in Egypt's arid climate. These erosion marks suggest that the Sphinx endured extensive rainfall, pointing to a time when the area surrounding the Giza Plateau was far more humid, potentially lush and green, well before the Sahara evolved into the vast desert it is today. Dr. Schock's analysis proposes that the deep grooves and weathering seen on the limestone structure of the Sphinx might date back to the Neolithic subpluvial period, occurring between 10,000 to 5,000 BC. During this period, the Sahara region contained rivers and lakes, significantly contrasting with its current dry state. This hypothesis not only challenges the conventional dating of the Sphinx, but also prompts a re-evaluation of the environmental and climatic history of the region, suggesting a much wetter climate in the past. The broader timeline of Egyptian history spans thousands of years, starting in the pre-dynastic period before 3100 before Christian era and extending to the end of the Roman period in 395 CE. Over these millennia, Egypt's history is segmented into various phases, each marked by different rulers and significant cultural advancements. Early Egyptian communities during the pre-dynastic period began to forge a unique cultural identity, paving the way for future progress in their civilization. This era witnessed the emergence of hieroglyphic writing and pottery, which were vital in setting the stage for later developments. These communities gradually evolved, creating complex social structures and advancing in artistic expression. The pottery from this period, for example, featured increasingly sophisticated designs and craftsmanship. This artistic evolution continued, with later pottery depicting intricate scenes from daily life and incorporating symbolic imagery. A critical turning point in Egyptian history was around 3100 before Christian era, with the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under King Nama, also known as Menes. This event marked the beginning of the early dynastic period and the establishment of Memphis as the capital. Such unification not only centralized power but also blended various cultural practices across Egypt, strengthening the formation of a unified state identity. This period also saw significant architectural advancements, notably with the construction of Egypt's first pyramid at Saqqara for King Djoser. Designed by the architect Imhotep, the step pyramid represented a revolutionary architectural achievement and set a precedent for the construction of larger and more monumental pyramids, symbolizing the pharaohs' divine authority and the state's architectural prowess. These advancements highlight the dynamic and evolving nature of early Egyptian civilization, influenced heavily by interactions with neighboring regions such as Mesopotamia. Such interactions introduced new artistic styles and practices to Egypt, significantly impacting its historical and cultural trajectory. The foundational elements established during the pre-dynastic and early dynastic periods, sophisticated governance, religious practices, and monumental architecture, testify to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of early Egyptians. These developments set the stage for the rich and multifaceted history that would continue to unfold over the subsequent millennia, underscoring the complexity and depth of ancient Egyptian civilization. The Old Kingdom of Egypt, spanning from about 2686 to 2181, before Christian era, stands out for its remarkable architectural achievements, most notably the construction of the Great Pyramids and the Great Sphinx at Giza. These monumental structures are recognized as the peak of pyramid construction and serve as a testament to the artistic capabilities of that period. Known as the Age of the Pyramids, or the Age of the Pyramid Builders, this era featured influential rulers such as Sneferu, who refined pyramid-building techniques, and his descendants, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, who built the iconic pyramids at Giza. After the Old Kingdom came a phase of instability known as the First Intermediate Period, from 2181 to 2055, before Christian era. This period was characterized by political fragmentation and a weakening of central authority. Leadership was split between rulers based in Memphis and Thebes, which led to considerable political turmoil. Local leaders rose to power, challenging the centralized control that was prominent during the Old Kingdom, and substantially altering the political scene of ancient Egypt. The massive construction projects of the Old Kingdom, while architecturally impressive, had significant social and economic repercussions. The state's resources were heavily funneled into these projects, requiring an organized and centralized administration to manage the labor and materials needed. However, this intense focus on construction may have drained the state's resources, contributing to the decline that led to the First Intermediate Period, during which the unity and strength of the pharaonic state notably declined. Following this period of disarray, the Middle Kingdom emerged around 2055 to 1650 before Christian era, marking a phase of consolidation and cultural renaissance under rulers like Mentuhotep II, who restored stability and order. This era is celebrated for its cultural advancements, including significant progress in literature, arts, and governmental structures. It was also a time of architectural innovation, marked by the construction of the first obelisks and the rise in prominence of the worship of the god Amun at Thebes. The Second Intermediate Period, from about 1650 to 1550, before Christian era, saw the temporary takeover of parts of Egypt by foreign rulers known as the Hyksos. Their eventual expulsion set the stage for the New Kingdom, lasting from 1550 to 1069 before Christian era, a period characterized by prosperity and significant architectural undertakings. The New Kingdom is noted for the reigns of famous pharaohs such as Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, and Ramses II, and for monumental constructions like the temples at Karnak and the well-known Tomb of Tutankhamun. These periods collectively illustrate the dynamic and complex history of ancient Egypt, marked by incredible achievements in architecture, art, and governance, each era building upon the legacies of the ones before, culminating in a rich tapestry of cultural and historical advancements. Get ready to see how Egypt's golden age ended and what came next. Revisiting the builders of Egypt's Great Pyramids. After the flourishing era of the New Kingdom, Egypt encountered a series of challenges that led to a decline in its power and influence. This period of decline is referred to as the Third Intermediate Period, characterized by political instability and invasions by foreign groups. Following this troubled period, Egypt fell under the control of various foreign powers, including the Persians, Greeks, and Romans, with the Roman Empire finally asserting complete control in 30 before Christian era. Despite these tumultuous times, Egypt continued to thrive culturally, artistically, and technologically under each ruling dynasty. Every dynasty that ruled Egypt during these periods contributed uniquely to the civilization's rich tapestry of life and achievements. This extensive chronology of Egyptian history and its dynasties has been meticulously documented by the historian Manetho in the 3rd century before Christian era. His works have been invaluable in helping contemporary historians categorize and understand Egypt's intricate history, highlighting the diverse contributions of ancient Egyptian civilization. Through these historical insights, we gain a more comprehensive understanding of how Egyptian society evolved and how these changes influence their art, architecture, and cultural practices that are celebrated today as pivotal elements of Egypt's ancient heritage. Amidst these historical explorations, there are intriguing debates concerning the accuracy of historical records, such as those by the historian al-Masudi, who contested that Pharaoh Khufu was not the original builder of the Great Pyramid. These debates extend beyond trivial matters. They are central to our understanding of the real stories behind Egypt's ancient structures. For instance, al-Masudi attributed the construction of a pyramid to a king named Sid, linking him to the biblical figure Enoch. Al-Masudi enjoyed blending captivating narratives with historical facts, portraying Sid as a wise ruler who anticipated a massive flood and commissioned the pyramid as a repository for civilization's most vital knowledge and treasures. This narrative is reminiscent of the storytelling traditions of pre-Islamic North Africa, where astronomical phenomena and seasonal cycles were deeply woven into religious and burial practices. These narratives prompt us to reconsider our current dating methods for ancient structures and to acknowledge the potential for speculation in our historical understanding. Further stirring curiosity is the depiction of pyramids on the Nubia egg, possibly symbolizing an ancient method of marking time through the seasons, as suggested by the variable depictions of the Nile's width, which could indicate the river's fluctuating levels throughout the year. Additionally, the arrangement of rings at the top of the egg has sparked comparisons to the legendary city of Atlantis, as described by Plato, suggesting a possible connection to this mythic civilization. This blend of historical facts, creative interpretation, and speculative connections illustrates the complexity of historical analysis. While it is exciting to draw links between ancient myths and archaeological findings, it is crucial to maintain a rigorous and skeptical approach to ensure historical interpretations are grounded in credible evidence. While these narratives are engaging, they carry the risk of shaping a view of history that prioritizes entertainment over factual accuracy, underscoring the importance of discerning and critical historical inquiry. Come with us to find out if ancient Egyptians knew more about the world than we thought. Did Egyptians reach the Americas before Columbus? This concept becomes even more captivating when we explore an ancient decorated egg, believed to be millennia old, which some think might reveal clues about the mythical city of Atlantis. The notion seems ripped from the pages of a fantasy tale. The surprises continue with assertions about ancient Egyptian art that allegedly depicts knowledge of the Americas centuries before Christopher Columbus set sail. These artworks were discovered in a location formerly known as Nine in Honis, which was a significant religious and political hub in Egypt prior to the era of the pharaohs. It is argued that these aren't mere decorative pieces, but include maps showing the Americas with an extraordinary level of precision. A closer examination of these paintings reportedly reveals depictions of the American continent itself. Such bold assertions are difficult to grasp. Are these genuine cartographic representations, or are we interpreting abstract art through the lens of modern desires? Proponents of this theory insist that these artworks disclose a world much broader than that described in conventional history texts. If these assertions hold any truth, they imply that ancient Egyptians might have had the capability to navigate far beyond the Nile, possibly reaching the Americas long before historically acknowledged. Such voyages would have predated known history by millennia, radically challenging our historical understanding. Additionally, it is claimed that the maps do not only depict America, but also show detailed representations of Europe, Asia, and Africa. Recognizable landmarks such as the Nile River the Mediterranean Sea, and mountain ranges across Europe and Asia are said to be identifiable. If the ancient Egyptians did create these maps, their geographical knowledge was remarkably advanced for their time. However, a critical reflection is necessary. Isn't it overly convenient how these ancient artifacts seem to emerge precisely when needed, igniting debates but failing to provide conclusive answers? We must consider whether our interpretations of these artifacts are shaped by our aspirations, perceiving connections and advanced knowledge where there may only be coincidences or misinterpretations. Distinguishing between revising history based on new discoveries and fabricating myths from our imagination hinges on the slender lines found on ancient maps. The theory that these mapmakers either explored these territories personally or accumulated extensive geographical knowledge through years of international trade and exploration might seem plausible to some. It is reasonable to assume that historically significant maps were not crafted by novices or those with limited knowledge of the world. What truly captivates is not just their global awareness, but also the artistry of the maps. Experts who examine these maps are often struck by their aesthetic appeal. The mapmakers employed natural pigments and executed their lines with great precision and care, demonstrating not just skill, but a dedication to the artistry of their craft. Yet perhaps their greatest achievement is how they prompt us to question our assumptions about the early Europeans' arrival in America. Re-evaluating these ancient cartographers allows us to gain deeper insights into historical navigation and trade. It also subtly mocks our contemporary arrogance in assuming we have comprehensive knowledge. By acknowledging and admiring their cartographic skills, we are also patting ourselves on the back for recognizing talents that surprise us, revealing our own biases in underestimating the capabilities of our ancestors. This surprise reflects a degree of modern hubris, suggesting that we often believe our forebears knew far less than they actually did. Did the ancient Egyptians really know how to map the Americas? Or are we just imagining it? Hit like, leave your thoughts into the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more discussions.